welcome, welcome. We are live for our equity conversation for November. Can you believe it's November already? Welcome, welcome. We are honored today to have a fabulous guest, Khayree Bey. I will introduce him momentarily. Hosting us today is our COSEM president, Tracy Heilers, and founder Tracy Heilers, and I am the COSEM president, Tovi Scruggs-Hussein. We are here again with you. So it feels good as we enter into a time of holidays and slowing down a bit, hopefully, and you can catch up on other COSEM equity-based conversations if you like by visiting our website. And today we have live again Khayree Bey, and I'm going out of order of what I usually do because he is actually going to lead us in our mindful moment as we open. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him without any further ado. That Khayree is the Colonial School District Teacher of the Year and the 2019 SHAPE Delaware's Health Teacher of the Year. Bey was recently appointed to Delaware Senate Standards Board and is on an implementation, and is on the Delaware State Education Association's trainer cadre. Currently, Khayree Bey implements an equity-based, trauma and poverty-informed, culturally responsive approach to teaching the art of MBSR, SEL, Kemetic yoga, and other self-care practices when he is not facilitating equity and mindfulness, professional developments, or coaching multiple after-school interscholastic athletic teams. He takes on projects like his school's talent show, Black History Month, and Latinx Heritage celebrations. Bey also serves both of his school district's anti-racist equity teams, including the Educators of Color Council, which focuses on equity and the underrepresented population in teaching by recruiting, assisting, and maintaining educators of color, and the Equity Audit Committee, which identifies and addresses diversity, equity, and inclusion issues to better serve all students and the community. So we are so honored to have him with us today to really bring in tactical skills and strategies at both the classroom and the systems level. So we're going to just sit back and enjoy and learn from Khayree today. So welcome, Khayree.
Thank you, Tovi. And thank you, Tracy. Humbled and honored to be here. I've had the opportunity to work. I'm kind of brand new to COSEM. I joined not too long ago. I see a special guest, Terry Lawler's here. She kind of got me involved with you guys, and she's definitely a champion in Delaware for students and educators. So I just wanted to shout her out there. Well, let's get this started. Let me do a mindful moment here. This is what for me in my school here, 3-4 times a day with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and sometimes doing mindful moments like herding kids with middle, but it gets done, and they gain something from it, and I hope you do too. So first, let me have you sit up straight in your chair, align your head, neck, and spine. I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. If not, stare at something on the floor so that you can focus a little bit better. The sound of the bell will begin. Let me add, I prefer that you would breathe through your nose, but this is that season. Some people have allergies. Feel free to breathe through your mouth if you need, but if not, in and out your nose. Let's begin. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time with me. Inhale. And sigh it out. Kind of go back to breathing on your own. Kind of checking your emotions, your thoughts, and then your body. And just be present with that for a moment. One last time, inhale with me. Inhale. And sigh it out. Thank you for practicing with me this evening.
Thank you so, so much. So, in true fashion, we always love to discuss with folks because we help to model self care and the importance of resilience building and self care and being restorative with ourselves, especially at times like this. So, would you be willing to share with us a bit about your personal practice? What are your daily routines looking like around this practice, and how does that show up in your life?
Yes. My personal practice started many, many years ago when I was in the military. I was in the United States Marine Corps about 30 years ago, a little over 30 years ago to show my age. And was always a big Kung Fu theater fan as a child. So when I went over and did the Far East tour, I was introduced to Tai Chi, Gikong, and yoga. And I kind of probably didn't take it too serious at that young age. But I did notice that something was happening to me from doing it. So as I got through overseas, came back to America, I kind of started implementing mindfulness and yoga into my daily life. And I think as I became an educator, I noticed that a lot of kids in the community that I serve, they do not understand or appreciate the mindfulness or self-care. For me, especially being an African-American male, I knew that it would be challenging for my children because, again, they don't see themselves in that practice. So what I wanted to do is kind of introduce what I had done over the years. I'm a Moorish Magi, so we kind of practice a form of mindfulness. I also wanted to implement yoga. I had been reading up on Egyptian yoga for years through different Afrocentric stores in Philadelphia. And then from there, I came across Yasir Rahotep and became certified as a Kemetic yogi about 2 years ago. From there, I also did that because I wanted my children to see themselves in the practice.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say about 2 years ago, me and my wife were actually doing yoga probably 4 to 5 times a week, twice a day. I mean, we were really had a very strong practice. And then, life kind of gets you caught up. And I'd have to say, I probably rely on my informal practice more than my formal practice. It's almost like my formal practice is a privilege at this time, especially with the pandemic, spending a lot of time just right here on these screens that you don't get a chance to. And especially over the last 4 years with our current administration, adding equity into my workload, along with being a teacher, a coach, a mentor, and running a lot of after-school activities, my personal practice has slipped. And I'd say within the last couple months here, I've noticed that I needed to get back on track. And, we all fall. And that's the thing of being present, is forgiving yourself and getting back on track. And that's where I'm at right now. I just started doing Yoga Green Book, which is a very excellent source for especially people of color who really don't have the spaces out there to practice yoga. Yoga Green Book is an excellent site. So's Liberate, which is a meditation app geared towards people of color. Because again, we don't always see ourselves in these practices, and there's not always a friendly space for us to always practice. So those are two of my favorite that I rely on when I really want to get back in.
Lovely. And that's a new resource for me. So I'm definitely taking note about that. And I see Deborah Keys Wright is in the house and she's taking note about that. And for anyone who isn't familiar with why it would be called Yoga Green Book, do we want to share that little mini lesson?
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
During the times of the civil rights movements, Jim Crow, even prior to that, traveling for Black people was not the safest in this nation. Many things called like sundown towns where you knew you better not be out after the lights went out if you were Black during those times. And being the resourceful people that we are, we kind of had to create a kind of like a telephone book almost, to be shared underground, and it was called the Green Book. It was a traveling book for you to know which towns were safe, places you could pull in and find food, clothing, and shelter, and a friendly face when there wasn't that many out there during those years. And that's kind of what Yoga Green Book is about. I mean, they just got a free advertisement from me there. but they that's what the name is, what drew me in there. I seen that name and I recognized the beacon light and was like, hey, wait a minute, that's for me. And I hope anyone else out there, and it's again, it's just not for people of color. I think if anyone wants to be proximate around people of color, this would be an opportunity too to see that we practice these also. And to be honest, anciently, the culture of yoga or being a yogi, I know a lot of people think of it as the postures and all that. It's a mentality. It's way beyond just these poses that we see that have been kind of gentrified and used for other purposes. And I'm not downing anyone when I say that, but the truth of where these practices come from are ancient, and they are all around the world. If you go to any megalithic structures around, you will see people sitting in the lotus pose, and shamans and gurus. This is nothing new. We've just strayed. Humanity has fallen far from its roots. So, but
absolutely, absolutely, and that's wonderful to highlight. And I really appreciate you sharing with transparency that sometimes we fall off of our practice. Like, like having a practice for decades or having a practice for several years, life happens and we get tested or we get stretched or something happens where we lose that resolve to the commitment of the daily practice. And for anyone out there who this might be resonating with, it's okay. You just start again. You just start again. And that's why it's called a practice, because there's never really an end point in it. We're always getting better and honing it. And some days I sit at my cushion and I'm like, damn it, if I could just have it like it was yesterday. But it's not like that. It's just ever changing and evolving. And so that's why it's a practice. That's why we lean in with curiosity. That's why we're compassionate and gentle with ourselves. And that's why, too, it's such a powerful tool, especially in times like this, and not just the physical pandemic of this virus that's going around, but the other pandemic, the pandemic of racism that we've been experiencing in our nation. And Khayree, with the group of students that you work with the skin that you walk in this world, with the sons that you have, how has this been cultivating? How have you been cultivating a practice around, in a sense, like racial healing and leaning into the equity work with those that you serve, and maybe even inside your home or outside your home? But how is that looking for you when we talk about these tools and directly relate it to what we're dealing with?
yes, like I said, my students, they didn't, I knew that they weren't going to see themselves in this practice. It's funny, there was two things that came from my students when I first started to introduce mindfulness and yoga to them. And that's what I reckon I got into education. My master's degree, 8 to 6, I'm a core teacher, but one of my principals at that time, and now she's our assistant superintendent, Betsy Fleetwood, I got to give her a shout out because she's the one that recognized something in me that she knew she wanted to keep me in her building. And when I first started doing mindfulness in my health class, I had the worst write-up I have ever gotten. They put me on a plan. They did not recognize what I was doing. Being an old jarhead and just a Black man that has been through the trials and tribulations of life, this was not going to be something that I was going to back down from, because I knew the power that it could give our students who don't have coping skills. My kids to give you them hands. Somebody step on their shoes, somebody disrespects them, they feel disrespected. And that's because they come to school in fight or flight. Many children especially in the population that I serve, they come with an invisible backpack. And in that backpack is a lot of time is trauma. And I don't want anyone to think it's every child either, because it's not that these kids are broken and they need someone to save them. That's not the case. They need to be listened to, and the system's broken. So to bring that back to incorporating this into, I know a lot of people call this work. I'm hesitant to call this equity or race or anti-racist work, because I've been doing this all my life. When it's work, it's something you can take off of. I can't step out of this. I can't close the anti-racist book. I'm a dark complexed Black man that has walked in this skin for almost 50 years. And I realize that the emotional and mental struggle that we go through every day causes physical harm. That's where you see COVID affecting us. You see high blood pressure. You see these pre-existing conditions. So if you're dealing in trauma and social emotional learning, and you're not dealing with race issues, then you've missed the mark. Because the kids that I deal with, that many educators across this country deal with, because as of 2014, the brown and black are no longer minorities in public schools. It's that time has changed. It's evening out and it's heading the other direction. With that being said, the importance of being able to have some coping skills in your toolbox is vital during these times for everyone. Doesn't matter your race, your gender, your preference. It does not matter. We all need some healing right now. So for me, it's I thought it was more important than rigor or academics. To me, it was, first off, you got to build relationships with these kids. And then after that, then you start with the rigor and all that, and you and giving them some type of tool to deal with not just what you think's going on in their neighborhood. They deal with trauma when the moment they step in that building. It's the way it's ran, it's who's running it, it's what's on the walls, it's the history. I'll be the first one to say I am the teacher of the year for a district that I think has stepped up and done a lot of things. But the name of the district is the problem. It's called the Colonial School District. I am the colonizer's toy every time I see an email that says colonial toy. And if you know the history of what these things mean, that's trauma on me. My kids love joking me on that. So again, it's nonstop, the trauma that you feel. And if you don't have a skill set, some tools in your repertoire there to protect yourself against some of these, the onslaught of issues that this country has been historically and generationally known for, you're in trouble. And I think it's time for these communities to start healing. And why not this ancient form that has always been there for you? We just have not been using it. So for me, it's a thing of giving something back that we lost.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love too that you hit on the piece around relationships and then rigor. What a lot of people don't understand is that, particularly kids of color, if you show them how much you care and they believe how much you care, they will do the work.
That's right.
They will lean into rigor. They will get more resilient. They will struggle. They will have that dissonance of, I'm not getting this yet, but just knowing that you care about them, they will put in the work. It's generally that they shut down when they feel like, oh, this, there's no connection happening for why am I working this hard?
That's right. I mean, and that's why I've been so involved in so many different things in my school and the district. That's why I coach 3 sports each year. And I coach the sports that my population of kids don't play. They don't play field hockey. They don't play softball, and they definitely don't wrestle. For me, it was me taking them out of their little small box and going, you know what? By no means am I the best field hockey coach. I know nothing about the sport, but I know that you want to come hang out with Mr. Bay. And for me, it was look, I'm a black male. I know that it is tough out there for us, but I recognize also as a black male as I have a male privilege. And black females don't have that privilege. They're knocked on both angles. You throw in weight, you throw in colorism, you throw in LGBTQ issues, and you're a black woman, and your life is hell. So for me, when I stepped in there, I could easily get the little young black boys and the Mexican boys and the Indian boys and the white boys to go, hey, Mr. Boy, Mr. Bay, you play sports, you were in the Marine Corps. I seen the need for the girls. And that's why I chose to coach field hockey and softball. A lot of them don't always have the best male role model. And I'm not just saying a black role model. I'm saying a male model in general. The male mentality, alive and well, obviously. We've dealt with that for the last 4 years. When I think of the talent shows, when I think of the Black History Month, the Latinx celebrations, the sports after schools, the door decorations, those are the moments that I try to instill in my teachers that I work with and some I train is, those are moments for you to make that connection. Kid that you may be able to reach in class, he may struggle in class, but he's a superstar out here. He plays an instrument, he dances, he juggles, whatever it may be, makes anime. You show up to those things and they see you there, that means something. It's so important to be present with them. You know what I mean? We're talking mindfulness. Be present. Be present with these guys. They need you. They want you. They don't always have that positive serve and return at home. And you can be that agent of change. You can, I mean, think of everyone has a story of a teacher, one or two, that you're like, that one right there looked out for me. Be that person. And we get more people being that person, and we could change. You know, I mean, I call it all the time, the public food system is real. The school to prison pipeline is real. You know, I asked some teachers the other day, I'm like, how many of the students that you're teaching right now are going to make it to your level of income, your level of education? Many won't. And that's ridiculous. What are we doing? What are we showing up for? To make yourself feel good? That's the type of stuff that bothered me the most when I came in. I'm looking at, you know, I mean, I'm the biggest kid at school. If there's snow outside, they'll make a special announcement. Don't throw any snowballs. Definitely not you, Mr. Bay. Make sure you don't throw any snowballs out there, because when I see them, I see me. And I hope that's what we start to feel as educators, black or white.
Love that. When I see them, I see me. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, we're excited to learn some more from you and help you to not even help you, have you help us to see how your work also touches on culturally responsive SEL, mindfulness, the neuroscience, just all of it. So we're excited for your mini lesson. Yes. So let's go ahead and lean into that.
All right. So before I share my screen, let me give you kind of a backdrop of what, if not, I'd had 4 different slideshows up here, but I'm going to explain the first part, and then I'm going to get into the equity work that I've been so fortunate to be a part of within my district, and now linking up with other great minds throughout Delaware and across the nation. I mean, Tovi, I've watched many of your features, webinars, and the superstars that you brought on here. When you asked me to be on, I'm like, man, you've had Dr. Hammond and Shiraki, and I mean, like, I'm like, whoa, I'm sitting here with their books. So, like I said, I'm humbled and honored to even be up here with you, and the great work, because I want to definitely take your course also. We will link up with that, because I want my district to get you involved there. So, thank you. For me, it was, again, when my kids think of yoga and they think of mindfulness, any of those things, there was 3 images that they thought of. The Indian guru that's floating above the mountain with his legs crossed, or it was a white woman who was just such a great gymnast that she could do all these poses, or one of the first things that my kids told me I had one of my biggest eighth graders. He was like, Mr. Bay, I didn't know you were gay. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, only gay men do yoga and mindfulness and have salt lamps and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, first off, if I was, that would not be an issue either. But secondly, everybody does yoga. Everybody should do yoga. And then I had one of the little white girls on my field hockey team. She calls me an anti-vax soccer mom because they're the only ones that do yoga and mindfulness. So for me, it was, I knew that I was going to run into these pitfalls, these naysayers, and not just from children, from teachers also. It's hocus pocus and it's magic. This is, I'm Christian or I'm Muslim. We don't do this. I mean, you come across these issues. So for me, it was, I wish I had an opportunity to have my full room, but I kind of brought my room with me when we went into quarantine here. So I do the, I teach the parts of the brain and the hand model and all that you can see here. But if you looked at my walls are full of people of all colors, all shapes and sizes, all demographics, rich, poor, athletes, Obama, football players, girls soccer players. It does not matter. They are all represented on there because that's the bouquet that represents what I see when I go to school. And I wanted them to see themselves. From there, that's where the cultural celebrations, the Black History Months, the Latinx celebrations, Heritage Month, so that our kids were celebrated when they came in. I know we celebrate a lot of American history, and a lot of it does not reflect our kids. And again, I'm lucky. I'm a health teacher that was allowed to create his own curriculum and pretty much do a mindfulness-based stress release class. Is everyone going to be able to do that? Absolutely not. And that's why I kind of gave out certain resources so that teachers could bring this into their room. And by no means did I know some teachers were like, good, it's going to make them calm down. And I'm like, no, let's not use it that way. That's not what it's for. It's not here to be used as a disciplinary tool for you. This is something for you to really check in with yourself and create your own practice first, to be honest. A lot of teachers don't realize that they are dealing in secondary trauma. And when you're dealing with that, you have to take care of self. So what that ended up doing was, I think I got the eye of my district. They were moving in the direction of equity after several years before I got there. Many superintendents before the one that I worked with at the beginning, Dusty Blakely, he was our African-American superintendent, and he was the only one in Delaware at that time, and I believe probably the only one that there's been. And he kind of kicked off that work with the help of Betsy Fleetwood and Pete Lyda and Jeff Menzer, who is our superintendent now. And they stepped to me because, again, I'm not only a teacher in the district, I'm a parent. So I have two sons that have been, one's a sophomore, one's already graduated, went to Temple. So for me, I have relatives in the district also. So I already had that community connection. I already kind of knew some of the issues that needed to be met. So when it came to all of a sudden trauma-informed SEL, poverty-informed care, and all those things, well, these were new names to me. I was just doing those things. So it was like, all right, there's names for them? Yeah, we're doing this. And then all of a sudden it was like, here's this equity. We would like you to be part of this equity movement. And at first I was like, no. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know. I have my own thing going, and I don't want you to jeopardize what I'm doing because as an African-American, this struggle is not new. This has always been here. So for me, is what I wanted to share the most with your audience tonight was some of the great work that my district has done in equity, and also a couple teachers that I've had the opportunity to work with outside of my district who are also equity champions and are looking for support. They're also going to probably be part of the chapter here in Delaware. So let me get to the slideshow here. I'm going to start you off with This was back in August. My district came out with a very strong statement. My superintendent, Dr. Menzer, right after the George Floyd incident there, he dropped a bomb when it came to Colonial stepping up and being a leader in Delaware as far as the equity work was concerned. We had been doing it for about 4 years. We've been to North Carolina at the Sit-In Museum. We've sat with HBCUs. We really went out and recruited deliberately and strongly to bring some more teachers of color into the district. We actually shared some numbers the other day. I wish I would have thought of that earlier, but we're going in the right direction. Does not mean that anything is perfect. We still have a lot of work to do, but in my district, we call it an equity era. And the reason why I chose a couple of these slides and the three sets of slides that I'm going to go through real quickly is because I'm sitting through 2 equity trainings here in Delaware. One is called the EPP, that's the Equity Practitioner Program, with a strong leader, Angela, and we have another one, which is the Teen Sharp Proximity Project with Aten Ray and Tatiana, his wife. They are 2 pioneers in Delaware as far as equity work. And my district is putting their money where their mouths are and getting the job done here. So in August, after that bold statement that our superintendent put out that we were a anti-racist district, we kind of got all the different heads together, and this was a beginning back to school workshop that we did. Let me get a slide going here. All right. Oh. Give me 1 second. There we go. So we started these off with courageous conversations a couple years ago. A lot of book studies, how to be an anti-racist, unconscious biases, white fragility, all the ones that everyone's now hearing in the equity world. Is what we did is we created these PDs. And our goals were to deepen our ability to act and respond to issues of inequity and racism, increase our capacity and comfort to create the conditions for engaging in conversations about race and equity, and to engage, reflect, and act on these. I'm not gonna hit you with the agenda there, but some of the community norms that I think that anyone, it's really, if you wanna take these back to your district, this is kind of the framework that we did. Of course, you can't mandate this, these type of trainings, but we really pushed for people to be a part of this and have a lot of strong leaders within the district that are really making this a no-no. When it comes to the equity work, we want you to be fully present, engage fully, and take risks. Be mindful of other learners, keep an open heart mindset, and take care of yourself. And that's where that self-care comes in, is where not only, like you said, Tovi, it's not just the pandemic. It's the systemic white supremacy and racism that has really been the one that is that this administration put in the forefront. If there's any that out of this administration, it's the issue has been forced and deny it. And you also throw in social media and the access to this these horrific murders that you see all the time, it seems, and brutality has really brought it to everyone's attention. You can't deny it anymore. It's either you're denying it or you're participating in it. Silence is violence. And with our courageous conversations, again, engage those who won't talk, sustain the conversation when it gets uncomfortable or diverted, and deepens the conversation to the point where authentic understanding and meaningful actions occur. This is kind of the, where do you fit on this? Now, me personally, as a Black man who's been doing this work for a long time, I'm always in the head area there, top left, top right. I'm always thinking of it intellectually. No, I'm not going to lie. The other day we did a PD and we had the doll test video up. And I went from thinking straight to heart and body. It hurt my soul to hear and see that. And, you know, they do that every couple years and it hasn't changed yet. I mean, so that kind of struck me the other day when I was looking at that. But we kind of we use this compass from the book Courageous Conversations, Singleton's book, great resource to use. I'm going to make sure with my district, but I'm hoping to make this available so that other districts, other teachers can use this. Because again, if you're that lone wolf in your school that's doing this, you might need some resources, some help on how to do this to maybe gather others of like mind. And I want to make sure that other teachers, other districts, other admin, kind of see what we did. The 4 agreements, again, stay engaged, speak your truth, experience discomfort. And sometimes this is the hardest one for me, is to expect and accept non-closure. And but if you've done any equity, diversity, or inclusion work, that's the reality of it. That there's no time where this is all of a sudden you got it. All right, we got it. Let's go. We're done. That as much as I would love that to be the case, we know that that's not. And then set your intentions. Set your own intentions for this for your session. What will you do to get the most out of what you're learning when it comes to equity? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment, and I want to switch to something now. Now, this was August, where we finally went from just the original 7 of us, my brother Mark, Charla, and Carla, and Rush. We were some of the original 7 to create, to be part of this Educators of Color, and it's grown from there. And we've had an opportunity to speak at different events, link up with other like minds, other districts, and kind of get this out there. And we've really done some amazing things. So I'm going to share with you what we just put out. This is kind of our equity journal. Let me bring up the other one. There it is. All right, there we go. All right. So again, this is our colonial school districts. This is our equity era. And some of the same things that I just showed you earlier are, we're doing book studies now, individual, like from the elementary to the 3 middle schools, and really going in and giving the administrators and the teachers involved in the tools to make it successful and stick. Because our goal, again, is to change the odds for our students within Colonial School District and ensure that we are developing an understanding around race, equity, and how it affects the students we serve. So this is definitely something that, as you can see, we've kind of cleaned it up. And now this work here is a great journal for all of our staff to use. And this is a journey that we want them to participate in. Like I said, I'm in a program now where the first cohort kind of started creating professional developments for our district. I think my cohort, we're kind of moving towards giving our students a voice. And I think that's where we're going to get a lot of bang for our buck, because part of the healing, the self-care, is being able to voice what is going on in your life that needs change, or things that we need to continue because we're getting it right. And that's where we're kind of moving towards. Now over here, I'm not going to play you the video. And I like I said, I'm hoping to be able to make this available to you, is what we've done. And then after I explain this, I want to show you one other great resource from a teacher of the year, from state teacher of the year from 2017, Turner. I had a chance to do a book study with her on white fragility, and she is definitely putting in the work. So I wanted to make sure I shared a great resource that she has here. But this colonial race to equity data, and I'm going to stop sharing so I can kind of explain what that is. We kind of crunched the data numbers of police brutality, school to prison pipeline, health, housing, you name it. We went down the line and really crunched the numbers nationally, and then did that with our school district. So we recognize certain things. We have our population of African Americans in our district is probably in the mid 40s, and our white and Latinx is right around 32 to 35 each. And what we kind of figured out through the data and our numbers from testing our kids from first grade to third grade was that like 39% of our African American kids were coming to school on point, ready to read, ready there, needed to. The Latinx and white numbers were about 32. So actually more African American kids coming in ready by third grade. I'm not even going to give you all the early numbers. By third grade, that number had totally switched. The African American kids have now fallen, the percentage has gone down. All of a sudden, they're the highest suspended, they're the highest kicked out of school, they're the highest put out of classrooms, you name it, any one of those stats right there. And we like to say in Colonial, obviously there's something in the groundwater. And is what we needed to do was figure out what was in the groundwater, and it was obvious. It was the biases that they deal with, the issues that make the school system a school to prison pipeline, the thing that makes children not want to be in class. And we are now in the process of trying to, like we said, we're not just trying to change the odds, we're trying to change the system. And I think that's where we have to be moving. So I know I don't have that much time left here, so let me share one more quick slide show. All right. This one. All right. Like I said, I got a chance to work with the great Wendy Turner. I think she's actually online with us tonight also. She's going to definitely be a powerhouse in our Delaware chapter of COSEM when we get it up and rolling there. So I'm excited about that. This was a resource that she was the mastermind of really putting this together. I kind of ran the sessions, but like I said, we are going to definitely share this out. But this was the one, these are the resources that we've put out there. And again, I thank Wendy for getting this all together. But tools and articles, you can see, you have Ta-Nehisi Coates, the case for reparations and all. And again, this is just to point out that even when you're a teacher, I know some teachers come to me, they're like, I'm only a mere teacher. I can't make decisions. I don't have a control over policy, but you can be that agent of change. Use what you have, connect with others like you, and get this, each one teach one is always my thought, is you can find them out there. Again, this was our courageous conversation from my school. This is Wendy's Bitmoji. I mean, she's great at getting these things together, way more tech savvy than I, but she's on point with this. And this is for her students and her parents, teachers and all. From here, the 4 commitments we can make to foster anti-racism and promote racial justice in elementary classrooms. Commitment. What are you going to commit to? And that's what I think the biggest part of it is what's your journey? Where do you see yourself in this work? And just forgiving yourself when you don't get it right and continuing to keep going. All right, I'm having a slight technical difficulty here. Let me see. There we are. Just another great tool, these Where Am I? Racial equity, social, emotional learning cards. And like I said, I will be sharing these out. I'll give you guys the links to all these. And like she says on these, find book studies, PDs, webinars, social media, Joe Trust leadership. There's a lot of great resources out there. And I hope this is, I hope this helps anyone out there who's now trying to find their place within this or have become stagnant with it. Because like I told a lot of people in my circle here, with our new president and our vice president-elect. She's broken a lot of ceilings there. So shout out to Kamala Harris there and Joe Biden. But the work is not over. If anything, some of the numbers that I've seen point to something that is going to be even tougher. I think we all know that there's a portion of Americans that voted for the last administration here, and there's a population that voted for him that some of us would be shocked. You had a larger number than before of African American males that jumped sides and voted that way. You had a portion of the LGBTQ community that also doubled its numbers who voted that way. So we have a lot of work to do. There is a lot of healing. There's a lot of conversations and tough conversations to have. And I'm hoping with these resources, you're well equipped to go out there and do the work. So, and I'll stop there.
That was so rich and valuable. Thank you so much. We want to open up the floor for any questions that folks might have for Khayree. It's wonderful to see some familiar faces and names in the house also. Hector, welcome. Ella, again, Deborah and Sally. So great to see everyone. And welcome to some of the new folks that are in the space. So thank you for joining us. Do we have any questions for Khayree? If so, just unmute yourself. The equity journal, I'm curious in terms of, you showed something that was digital. How are you encouraging people to use their journals?
I think it's, in our district, our big thing is, what's your why? Why are you doing this work? And then going through the experience of really digging deep and seeing where this, where you feel uncomfortable in this, and really figuring out, why do you feel uncomfortable? What have you been through yourself? What have you what things have you done that you still hold, and you know that it's something that eats at you? And I think that's where the journaling gets the most bang for the buck there. It's you being able to tell your story. And maybe sometimes when you write it down that way, you may not have been able to say that out loud. But after you come back to that several times, it may give you that courage to go back out there and continue to work. Because again, it's a thing of forgiving yourself. We all grow. I mean, as I do this equity work, I've come across so many people that have said it. I can remember when I was in a diversity training in the early 2000s, and I was wrong during those times, and I felt shame for that. So I kind of avoided those situations or those trainings. And again, it comes down to, we all make mistakes. I myself in this, just, you know, being an African-American Black male in the equity movement, I got to check myself at times. There's times where I'm judgmental, where I'm going, no. And then I think of what made me do that? What trauma have I been through that has made me that way? So it's a thing of growing and allowing yourself to grow. That's the thing that I would say the most out of journaling.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Deborah.
Yes, hi. Thank you for your presentation. I'm really intrigued by it. And I think I'm picking up that this is more at the school building level that this work is being done, teachers and.
No, this is it's with the equity work or the mindful social. The equity work is
equity work.
No, this is district.
Good.
This is, like I said, we've had we had a African-American male as a superintendent. He just went to another district we lost, but he moved on to something great, and he's going to do great things there. But
well, good. And the reason I'm asking, because as Tovi know, I represent school board members all across the country. That's who I work with, and superintendents. And I know how important it is that school boards understand how important this equity work is, because even if the administrators are doing the work, a board can stop the work.
That's right.
And so what I do personally is ensure that the board understands what equity means through the lens of governance, and so that they don't impede the progress of the administrators when the board gives the superintendent the directive that this is what we're going to do. Of course, they say the what, and the superintendent and staff will say this is how we're going to do it. So it's good to know. I mean, if you don't have that kind of collaboration and relationship, doing equity work will not work. It'll just be in pockets, but it needs to be everyone is involved. No one gets a pass, but you have to meet people where they are. Just like you mentioned, the experiences. And so what about the bus drivers that's the first impression, they open up that door. How are they treating kids who don't look like that? So you have to create that brave, safe space for individuals to talk about it, of course, and not feel that they're being attacked, because everyone brings their own lens. And I think now more than ever, we know we have a divided country, and on so many different levels. And I think if all of us pick the area that we're going to work on, that we can start chipping away at the biases. And because when you talk about the school system, the only victims are the children. And to me, that's just not acceptable. And I'm sure everyone else, we have, as adults, we can be the oppressors of the growth of children. And so I commend you for, doing this equity work.
I thank you, Miss White. It's you are correct. Like when we first formed the Educators of Color, we did a lot of putting the olive branch out. I can remember the 7 of us going in front of the school board with our now assistant superintendent, Betsy Fleetwood. And us, we sat there and recrafted our presentation, the name of the group, what our goals were, what we really sat down there and thought of all the angles that people were going to give us kickback on, and we knew it. Delaware is it's a blue state, but the Mason-Dixon line runs through Delaware. So there's a portion of Delaware that you were going to get kicked back from, without a doubt. And the old history of Colonial School District also had to be dealt with, also of some of the things that, the community, and also the community changed from those earlier years, the kids that are in the district. So, and like you said, we went from, we were right before the pandemic, we had people within the equity movement of Colonial School District training up lunch ladies and custodians and bus drivers. Because me personally, I've had incidences with bus drivers and students over things they've said to kids, And so we've done a very good job of pulling in all stakeholders. That's one of the things that I also did, is I went out into the communities and got with some of the local churches, some of the local boys and girls clubs, the police athletic leagues, so that they brought them in. We have a planetarium at my school. I would bring in the deputy director of libraries and trained her staff in equity and brain science with the brain architecture game, to really give everybody an understanding of being part of this movement. Because without it, like you said, a school board has shut that down. My wife's school board, she teaches in Jersey, and they, there's a lot of things that they would like to do, but if you don't have the backing of the school board, it's all for naught. So we have a very good relationship with our school board and our district staff and our administrative staff. And I think you said it best. It starts up there at the top. It starts with the school boards. It starts with the district. If we didn't have a superintendent that was backing us, it would just be me sitting at my school having the Black History Month and the Latina X and, Latinx celebrations, but nobody else doing that. And don't let me act as if my whole district is just this great. No, we still have pockets that have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of teachers that are out there on the island in some of these elementaries or in their hallway. So, and that's where we're coming in with the PDs and also with these an equity toolbox to help those ones there. But if you don't have backing from the top, it's stale. You're not going anywhere. So,
Well, thank you for that.
Khayree, I just want to say thank you so much for all your leadership, and I've learned so much from you already, and it's really a privilege and a gift to collaborate with you. So just thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy, and that's our 2017 Delaware Teacher of the Year, Wendy Turner. I've had the pleasure of working with her this past early school year here. We did White Fragility, and we got a lot of great participation from all types of staff, DSEA, DOE, Terry Lawler. Again, she's the one that pushes this.
She's the mastermind, right?
That's right. And, I'm very appreciative of the work that we're doing in Delaware. And she's and I tell you, there's many teachers, and I'm bragging on Delaware, but I've had an opportunity to work with several others around the nation here, and there's a big push for this. And it reminds me of when I first started doing the trauma and SEL. It didn't seem to be a lot of people doing it, but you see it's wears, and now I see that the equity movement is heading in that direction also, where it's a hot topic, and my goal, and like many others, is to make sure it's not something that fades away. It's easy to do it now, and that's where I think me and Tovi were talking earlier about allies and co-conspirators. And I want you all to be doing this when no one else is around, when no one's watching, when it's not in the news and it's not the hot topic. The kids need it. We need it. The nation needs it.
Absolutely. That's a perfect place for us to just take the pause. I mean, the nation needs it. Our kids need it. The nation needs it. Absolutely. Khayree, it's been wonderful to have you here with us and being part of the COSEM family and being in the library of the COSEM Equity Convo series. Again, everyone, you can find the resources from tonight's talk as well as the recording. It will be on the website probably by tomorrow, knowing Tracy, who's always really on it. And so it will be on the equity page of the website. Also, I want to be sure to let everyone know that there are other ways to be involved in this great work of educating mindfully. And that's our website name, Educating Mindfully. So you can start with you. It is so important for you to do the engaging and reflecting that Khayree is naming. It's critical that you are doing your own inner work of being mindful and being present. So committing to 10 minutes each day, which is our Commit to 1% campaign, where you're doing just 10 minutes a day of a yoga practice, a breathing practice, a mindfulness practice that resonates with you and has you leaning in. Definitely support the book. This book that we've published is a field guide of 40 different stories, strategies, and structures where mindfulness in schools is being present throughout the nation. So it's a great way to explore this work more fully. Like Khayree mentioned, he's starting the Delaware chapter. We have chapters all over the nation. You can start a COSEM chapter or practice group at your school, at your district, in your city, at your nonprofit. Wherever you are, you can start one. And it's pretty much plug and play. We have an entire team that's dedicated to giving you content every month with how to successfully run the chapter. Donating regularly and generously. We're a nonprofit. We count on donations to put out this type of free work and other work that we do offer. So please consider that. And then joining the professional membership program that we have. You can also find that information on our website. And then finally, if you're loving Tracy's t-shirt, if you're loving my t-shirt, you can get a COSEM swag t-shirt or sweatshirt through our fundraiser that's launching on November 17th. We have lots of different colors. The quality is outstanding. My biggest joke is my husband doesn't meditate, but he wears his COSEM t-shirt because he loves it. And so really get your t-shirt, support the cause, let people know that this is part of who you are and what you're about. So again, Khayree, we just really couldn't have had today's powerful offering without you. Thank you for continuing to shine your light in this way, for leading this work in your state and around the nation, and making it also just look so accessible. Like you too are breaking glass ceilings, even though, you know, we don't think of men as doing that. It's not very common that we see Black men in education leading this work, and it helps to normalize it for so many of our students. So it's so powerful to have you as a leader in this work and a representative of this work. So thank you. And thank you all for joining us. Take good care. Have a great one, everyone. Peace and blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great night.